Hello, and welcome back to another NFL update for NFL Week 10. This week, honestly, not a too exciting week, but there's a few things obviously we're going to talk about. And like usual, we're going to start with the Broncos. And they played on Thursday Night Football. They pull off a tight 10-7 win over the Raiders. This game was not pretty from both sides. You could say it was kind of old school, low scoring field possession, defense doing the heavy lifting kind of game, but really a bad look for the Broncos this week. For a team that is now 8-2, you would want them to look a lot better than they did versus this terrible Raiders team. But this game does bring up some points how a lot of people have been wanting to get rid of Thursday Night Football because the short rest can create more injuries for players, less rest for players. It just really isn't great. And the Broncos have to play on Thursday night again on Christmas. So, I mean, there's a lot of things not to like about Thursday. They said they might get rid of it next year, but we'll see, because on Monday, with the team that had more time, with the Packers-Eagles, they won. That game was 10-7 as well. So, I mean, there's really a lot of different ways you can look at it. But Denver's pass rush showed up when it mattered. The secondary made life tough for Geno Smith, who struggled all season already. And even though the offenses didn't explode, the offense did enough for them to get the win. But for the Raiders, the big question is, where is that spark on offense? They got Genty to get that spark, but it just seems they don't have that spark on offense at all. So someone needs to step up on that roster, make a change. I think the guys like Pete Carroll, there's a lot of things they just need to fix there. And next, we're going to head over to Berlin. The Colts beat the Falcons 31-25 in front of a international crowd, which is always unique every time they do that. You never know how those team games are going to go, traveling across overseas, travel fatigue, unfamiliar stadiums, different routines, but the Colts handled it well. They're poised. They've looked incredible all season long. So it's a big win for Indy. Now there's 3 8-2 teams in the AFC. It's going to be really interesting to see when it comes down to who wins the AFC. It's going to be really interesting. And I don't know how I feel about all these overseas games. I get you're trying to grow the game, but I'm more of a just kind of stay here. I mean, I don't know. The NFL's in a good spot. I don't think you really need to change much. Next, we're going to talk about the Ravens bouncing back. With Lamar back, they're back in the playoff conversation. They're right back in it, so I'm going to be really interested to see if the Ravens can make a run for that division, because they're kind of making a run for the North, because the Steelers haven't looked too great, but they figured out how to beat like the Colts. So I mean, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this thing kind of goes, how it plays out for the Ravens, because they were so bad all year. They're starting to get guys back on defense. They're getting Lamar back. So, I mean, when you have Lamar, literally anything is possible. But they won 27-19. The Ravens have been in these spots before, so I think there is a really good chance they can close it out. And next, probably the most exciting game of the week, Patriots versus Buccaneers. I don't know who I thought was going to win this game. Drake May still looks incredible. I mean, they've had a cakewalk of a schedule, so this is one of their biggest tests so far. But the Buccaneers are no pushover. They're a playoff team, so it was a cool NFC versus AFC matchup to see how the top teams are stacking up versus each other. But the Patriots end up winning this game, and for the Buccaneers, on their hand, they had a lot of missed opportunities, dropped passes, they had a lot of stalled drives, and just a lack of rhythm, costing them multiple possessions. So, I mean, it was a great game still, 28-23. So I think for both teams, there's a lot of things they can go look at and fix. There's also a lot of positives they can take out of this game. Then the Texans win a shootout versus the Jaguars, which is really important coming down the stretch in the division. Texans without CJ still, I mean, but they're able to they're slinging it. They're getting things kind of rolling back in Texas, and they have a good defense, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make a push for their division either. There's a lot of close divisions here. But this was pure offense from the start to the finish. The two teams were trading blows, and Houston was making a few more big plays. Their offense just looked way more explosive today, which they've been looking for all year. And Nico Collins being back is a lot of help, so I think there's a real chance they're also a playoff contender. Then I want to talk about two of the not so great teams in the NFL. The Jets beat the Browns 27-20 and keep their season alive. Technically, they're not gonna make it. If they lost, they're eliminated. But I'm not gonna say they're make the playoffs because they're not. They're terrible. They're just terrible. I'm really happy for Justin Fields though to finally get a win out there. They're not perfect, but this team, in a lot of these games, the Jets fight in these late games, and also I just want to talk about how huge that is. They lost two guys on defense, Williams and Sauce Gardner, and they still pull out a win. That's honestly incredible for them. I think the head coach needs to keep his job after that. Just showing the discipline, the team. You can tell the guys like him. They like him a lot, so it'll be really interesting to see how it comes down. In this game, I think it's about time for Shedeur Sanders to start for the Browns. It's why am I blanking? Dylan Gabriel does not look good. I don't know why he was starting in it. He didn't, like, watching him in college at Oregon, I didn't really ever see an NFL quarterback in him, but you know, teams have their own. I'm not a scout. I'm not. But there's just kind of that front office seems to make a lot of choices like this. I think it becomes repetitive to a point where you got to switch things up, fire some guy. That's just, I mean, and can we talk about Myles Garrett? He keeps dominating. Just keeps dominating. A few weeks ago, he had 5 sacks versus the Patriots and still lost. If they could trade him in the offseason, if a team is willing to give up what he's worth, then they could get a few more first-round picks. They could get some more talent that's already, like, in the NFL proven. I think there's a lot of things they could do, but there's a lot of mistakes, turnovers, and missed opportunities that cost the Browns again. It's all about the small details in these kind of games. The Jets won with those small details, just not having penalties fly in everywhere, just taking care of the football, you know. Then I also want to talk about the Panthers. Bryce Young didn't look good today, but the Panthers look a lot better. They're still fighting 500, still in that kind of playoff conversation. I think it's very interesting to talk about where they were just 2 years ago, and I think this defense is really showing out for them. So, I mean, the story was here, just the defense for the Carolina Panthers is plain and simple. The Panthers controlled the line of scrimmage, forced the Saints into uncomfortable down and distant situations, never let them get into rhythm. Even though Carolina hasn't had the season they hoped for, which I think this is still better than, obviously every team wants to make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, but this is going a lot better than I think a lot of people thought for the Panthers. I think people thought maybe they were going to be a little better because the flashes they showed at the end of the year last year, but games like these show the defensive talent is still there. For the Saints, the concerns just continue. The offense can't click. That offense is not good at all. Not good. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed there. I think they need to go out and get a quarterback in this draft. I don't know who. I don't think they should take one in the first round. I don't think it's a great quarterback class, but we'll see. I mean, for these young guys, like I was talking about Gabriel earlier, maybe he'll be a good NFL quarterback. You can't really say much about these guys so early in their career. You can bring it back to Peyton Manning when he was drafted. He was terrible. Then he was elite. But for every one Peyton Manning, there's 100 quarterbacks that fail. So, I mean, it really depends on what you want to say. Then the most surprising one, I think, of the week is Dolphins-Bills. The Bills got dominated the entire game, 30-13. They don't look great. When the Dolphins offense gets rolling, they look unstoppable because they got the speed and the spacing and the aggressive play calling they have makes it hard for these teams to keep up with them. It just really is a matter, can they click? Will they click? Buffalo tried to keep up. They just couldn't match Miami's consistency all game. The Bills still had flashes of their brilliance that they have, but their offense doesn't seem as powerful as it does. And they got a tough test next week or 2 weeks down the line when they play the Texans, who's one of the best defenses in the NFL. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see. Then the Seahawks dropped 44 on the Cardinals. Seattle lit up the scoreboard. They do in JSN. there might not be a better wide receiver in football right now. Sam Darnold looks great. Who is it? The Vikings should have kept Sam Darnold. I think it was because J.J. McCarthy doesn't look great. But, so it's starting to look like they made the wrong choice there. But again, you don't know how these young guys are going to turn out, so you can't really say much about it. Everything clicked on the offense. Explosive plays, physical running, creative play designs. For Arizona, this matchup showed the gap between where they are, and it shows how far they are. Arizona might have to go to a new quarterback. I mean, they're on Brissett right now, but I'm talking about Kyler Murray. He's an NFL quarterback somewhere, like maybe like the Saints should pick him up. They'd be a lot better. But just right now, he's not like a winning. With Brissett, it's not a winning formula. For Seattle, this is the kind of win that can define the stretch run. When they're in rhythm offensively, they can hang with anybody in the NFC or AFC. They might even just be they might be a Super Bowl contender. I don't know. This year, NFL year is so interesting because there's not like a defined best two teams on both sides, which I think is so fun about it. Then we're going to finish it with Monday Night Football. Like I said earlier, 10-7 finish. Same with the first primetime game. You don't see that much. With Monday Night Football, low-scoring grind, the Packers beating the Eagles 10-7. No real flashy stats, no shootout. It was just defense. This was a much better game, though, than the other 10-7 game we saw, because these are two incredible defenses. They deserve a lot of credit here. Kept Philadelphia from standing drives. There's something wrong with that Philadelphia team. I don't know what it is, but their offense isn't good anymore. I don't know what happened. Saquon, in fantasy, I'm pretty sure, this isn't really a good description, but he went from number 1 to number 11 running back this year. So, I mean, they're not using him as much. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, there's just not a lot of things clicking for this team. And, I mean, that's all we have to talk about today, but there's going to be a lot of interesting things coming up near the end of the season. There are a lot of division battles. A lot of the one seed might come down to the last week of the season for both sides, so I think it's really interesting. But that's it. Yeah.